And April was a horrible reading month, okay? Hey you guys, so it's Kyoshi. I'm back for another episode of All About Books. If you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. Without further ado, let's just get into today's video. Alright you guys, we are wrapping up this month of April. And April was a horrible reading month, okay? Horrible. Can y'all guess how many books I read in April? Just guess, y'all. I'm so embarrassed. But I'm embarrassed, but I ain't embarrassed. You know, I was like, I tried to do better, but it just didn't work out for my life. So, in April, I read a total of 2 books. That was it. Nothing else. I tried to read a third. It didn't quite work out for my life. So, it ended up being just 2 books. 2 books in April. That is all I read, you guys. So, some months is just going to be like that, right? So I am currently sitting on my couch and I'm hoping that May will be a little bit better because, you know, that's not really good if I'm trying to reach my goals, right? Luckily for me, I was ahead. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my Goodreads. Lucky for me, I was ahead of the game and I was like 5 books ahead. Now I'm only 2. So I have lost my lead on reading. So I'm glad I started off the year strong because when I have months like this, it doesn't really set me back too far. As long as I'm not behind in books, as long as I'm still ahead, then I can stay on track. So what books did I read in April? So the first book you already know, I already gave you a synopsis. It was In This Corner of the World, and it was a World War II manga that I thought would cheer me up from March, and it ended up being not a so cheery book to kind of get me out of the mood of the heavy Beartown book that I had read in March. But yeah, it was good nonetheless. I really enjoyed it, and I believe I gave it 4 stars just because of the language barrier and some of the things weren't interpreted correctly, because when you read the sentence it didn't make any sense to me in English rather, and so that's why I gave it 4 stars. But other than that, it was a really good book. So it wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought it was like a happy-go-lucky manga, but yeah, that wasn't it. And then I read You Against Us by Fredrik Backman. You guys know that is my new favorite author, and I'm literally just trying to grab and read everything that he has written so far. So Beartown, I read the sequel, which is Us Against You. It was so good. Took me through an emotional roller coaster, but it was just the best. And I found out that they created a series of it, and I binge watched the whole first series, which was basically about book number 1. So I'm waiting for season 2 to come out, and hopefully it's about book number 2. And if you haven't heard and you love Fredrik Backman like me, there will be a 3rd book to Beartown that I think comes out later this year. I haven't looked at the release date, but it comes out sometime this year. And I'm super excited to continue following the people in Beartown because I just love their story. As much as it's heartbreaking and it puts you through an emotional roller coaster, it's like a good emotional roller coaster. It just gets you to thinking and feeling and being just not knowing that other people's lives are, your life is probably a cakewalk compared to other people's lives. You know, we try to say our lives are so bad, oh, it could be worse, but people got it out there worse than we do, and this kind of helps you to be thankful for all the things that you have and all the things you do not have to go through. Let's just say that. I gave it 5 stars, of course. And then the 3rd book that I DNF, which means did not finish in the month of March, was The Apple Never Falls by Laine and Moriarty. I couldn't get into the book. You know, that was my book club read for March of my book club, Once Upon a Wine. Speaking of wines, as you can see, I'm winding down from the night. So I'm recording this when I'm about to go to bed. But I had to get me a glass of wine. With this, it's so good. Winking Owl, Sweet Red, if you don't know nothing about it. Check it out. I talk about it all the time on my channel. But yeah, so I'm in a book club called Once Upon a Wine. That was our March read. I didn't like it. Some people liked it. It was very wordy, I felt like the person just drew the whole story out where it wasn't necessary, is why I couldn't finish. I'm like, how many times you gonna keep talking about this? Okay, can we move forward, please? So I couldn't finish it. If you read Apple Never Falls and you enjoyed it, let me know what you enjoyed about it. I can't do it. Maybe I made it to chapter 20 out of 79 chapters. So I made it almost halfway through the book. So maybe one day I'll pick it back up, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yes, those are the 2 books that I read in April and the 1 book that I didn't finish. So yeah, let's just pray that March will be a little bit better, and let's get into my March TBR. Alright, you guys, so in the month of March, I have picked up 7 books. Yes, 7 books to try to read in the month of March. I did replace every single book except one that was on the previous TBR. I just felt like I had carried them over too long and I was just not about to, you know, keep doing that. So I just returned everything, wrote down the ones that I wanted to pick up again later. I did keep one of those books and I'll let you guys know. But the first book, and this is in no particular order. The first book that I want to read this month is Savvy Shelton Feels Good as Hell by McCoy. It is a rom-com. Super cute. It sort of reminds me of the Brown sisters, so Eva Brown. I love those books. I'm hoping this is just as cute. So it says Savvy Shelton spends a lot of time tiptoeing around the cracks in her life, her high stress, low thank job, her clueless boyfriend, and the falling apart kitchen she inherited from her beloved grandma, who taught her how to cook and how to love people by feeding them. But when Savvy's world starts to crash down around her, she knows it's time for some renovations. Starting from the outside in, Savvy tackles her crumbling kitchen, her relationship with her body, her work-life balance or lack thereof, and last but not least, her love life. The only thing that doesn't seem to require effort is her ride or die squad of friends. But as any home reno show junkie can tell you, some things always fall apart during renovations. First, Savvy passes out during heart yoga. Then it turns out that the contractor she hires is the same sexy stranger she unintentionally offended by judging based on appearance. Worst of all, Savvy can't seem to go anywhere without tripping over her ex and his latest upgrade. Savvy begins to realize that maybe she should have started her renovations the other way around, beginning with how she sees herself before building a love that lasts. So that sounds really good. So I hope it is good. The next book I picked up is a YA book, young adult book. This is an adult book, and it's called Beast of Prey. And this is what it looks like, called Beast of Prey. And it is about, I cannot pronounce this name, Lakosa. I'm going to put it across the street. Y'all tell me how to pronounce it. Lakosa was once a city of magic and splendor. Now, 100 years after the rapture scarred the sky and devastated the land, its people, magic is no more than a myth. Until one night when Kofi, an endured beastkeeper at the infamous Night Zoo, unexpectedly unleashes a dangerous, untamed power that has been secretly brewing within her for years. She set into motion a chilling sequence of events that not only upend her whole world, but also links her to a complicated stranger with secrets of his own. As a warrior in training for the elite Sons of the Six, Ikon's task is to stop Kofi in her attempt to flee the Night Zoo. Instead, she saves him from the Shati, the monster that has plagued Lokasa for nearly a century and stalked Elkin's nightmares. Following their chance encounter with the beast, Kofi and Ikon, each with hidden agendas, strike a tentative bargain, teaming up to catch the Shanti as a hope for solution to their dire circumstances. To do so, they must enter the greater jungle, a world steeped in wild, frightening magic, untold dangers. But once the hunts begin, it quickly becomes unclear whether they are hunters or the hunted. So, I love a book about magic. It reminds me of, what's that, Children of Blood and Bone? Yes, I'm hoping this is as good as that series. It's a chunker, as you can see. The next book I picked up is, I think, like a thriller. It's called The Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapena. I think that's how you say it. And it says, it's winter in the Catskills, and Michelle Inn, nestled deep in the wood, is the perfect setting for a relaxing, maybe even romantic getaway. It boasts spacious old rooms with huge wood-burning fireplaces, as well stocked wine cellar, and opportunities for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or just curling up with a good murder mystery. So when the weather takes a turn for the worse, a blizzard cuts off the electricity and all contact with the outside world, the guests settle in and try to make the best of it. Soon, though, one of the guests turns up dead. It looks like an accident, but when a second guest dies, they start to panic. Within the snowed-in paradise, something or someone is picking off the guests one by one, and there's nothing they can do about it but hunker down and hope they can survive the storm and one another. That sounds really, really good. So the next book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have had this on my hold at the library for the longest, and it came in at the perfect time because this is our May book club read of the month. So I am super, super excited about it. So it is aging and reclusive Hollywood movie star icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant for the job, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Why her? Why now? Monique is not exactly on top of the world. Her husband has left her and her professional life is going nowhere. Regardless of why Evelyn has selected her to write her bibliography, Monique is determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career. Summoned to Evelyn's luxurious Manhattan apartment, Monique listens in fascination as Evelyn tells her story, from making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to her decision to leave showbiz in the 80s, and of course the 7 husbands along the way. Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. Monique begins to feel a very real connection to the legendary star, but as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in a tragic and irreversible way. So yes, that sounds so good. I'm actually more than halfway. I think I'm like 67% through it. So I'm on page 262. I actually had this on the list. I actually got the CD on the books on CD first. So I actually had started listening to it in my car. And if you want to listen to it on Audible or audiobook, I can't even say audiobooks, the person who reads it actually does a really good job. If it's the same person who read it on the CD, she does an amazing job reading it. And so I would definitely recommend the CD. And I've been listening to it like I'm driving around or whatever. I'll just start wherever I stopped in the book. And then when I stop in the car, I'll just come find that place in the book. And that's where I am. So I'm kind of like tag teaming it between audiobook and a physical copy. But y'all know I always love my physical copy. So the book that I did carry over from April was James Patterson Fear No Evil, which is the Alex Cross series book, I think number 28. I already read the synopsis in March, so if you want to know the synopsis, you can look it up or go back and look at my April TBR. You could look it up in the April TBR, but this will be the next book I start reading after Evelyn Hugo, because this will be due back before the rest of the books. I kind of try to read my books in the order that they are due, so that way I won't be in a hurry up trying to read a book. Sorry, I'm sweating. The next book is called Blood Like Magic by Liselle Sambury. Don't know how to pronounce her name, but this is such a pretty book, you guys. So it says, after years of waiting for her calling, a trial every witch must pass in order to come into their powers, the one thing Bona Thomas doesn't expect was to fail. When Bona's ancestors gives her an unprecedented second chance to complete her calling, she agrees and then is horrified when her task is to kill her first love. And this time, failure means everything. Thomas Witch will be stripped of their magic. Voya is determined to save her family's magic no matter the cost. The problem is Voya has never been in love, so for her to succeed, she'll first have to find the perfect guy and fast. Fortunately, a genetic matchmaking program has just hit the market. Her plan is to join the program, fall in love, and complete her task before the deadline. What she doesn't count on is being paired with the infuriating Luke. How can she fall in love with a guy who seemingly wants nothing to do with her? When mounting pressures from her family, Vanya is caught between her mortality and her duty to her bloodline. If she wants to save their heritage in Luke, she'll have to find something her ancestors want more than blood. And in witchcraft, blood is everything. So that sounds interesting. This is also a YA book. And then the last book that I want to read in the month of May is Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? I saw this on somebody's Instagram and I just took a picture of it and I was like, hey, it sounds interesting. I think you should read it. So I picked it up and it says, Yinka, Nigerian aunties frequently pray for her delivery from singledom. Her work friends think she is too traditional. She's saving herself for marriage. Her girlfriends think she needs to get over her ex already. And the men in her life, well, that's a whole nother story. Yinka herself has always believed that true love will find her when the time is right. Still, when her cousin Rachel gets engaged, Yinka commences Operation Wedding Date. Aided by a spreadsheet and her best friend, Yinka is determined to succeed. Will Yinka find herself a husband? And what if the thing she really needs to find is herself? Sounds interesting, right? So those are the 7 books that I am trying to read in the month of May. Will we make it? I don't know. Hopefully I read more than 2 books, okay? So in the comments below, let me know what you guys are currently reading and anything that I should add to my reading list. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you get subscribed. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.